The PS1 has a library of a million games, so if you're anything like me, then I'm so sorry. And you're bound to have forgotten about at least a couple of the games in this great library. Today we're looking at 5 games that I think have been left in the sands of time, so you might see a couple and think, whoa, yeah, I remember that game. So come on down this trip to Memories Lane with me and let's get started with Guardians Crusade, also known as Night and Baby in some places of the world. Oh, that's some Dream Theater sounding shit right there. Firstly, I love this game. I will never stop loving this game. This game could kill my dog and I would still love it. Maybe that's because I don't have a dog. I'm aware that some of the designs look like they were taken from a drawing that a 5-year-old drew, and 5-year-olds are notoriously shit at drawing. But this game has so much charm to it that it will charm the pants off of you before any of the Ryans could. I'm talking Gosling, I'm talking Reynolds, I'm talking Higa, I'm talking Debbie Ryan, I'm talking Evans, actually that might be a Chris. It's a game where if this lady is anything to go by, clothes on washing lines are seen as gods. Okay, so the story, I'm gonna spill all the beans here. Oh no. Someone's already spilled all the beans. The journey begins when you find Little Miss Piggy, who's originally called Baby, but you can change her name to anything you want. You get told by this mysterious angel rabbit who's obsessed with the song YMCA to take the baby to its mother. That's the main motivation for the game. It's pretty standard stuff, but along the way you meet different people, like this dude who I imagine his sword keeps falling out of his sheath and cutting his heels off because he has it upside down. What an idiot. His name is Darkbeat and he's an asshole at first, but you grow to like him. There's Kalkanor, a 20-foot knight it seems, who's an asshole at first, but you grow to like him. There's Ramal. She's an asshole at first, but you know. So much stuff happens along the way in this 15 to 25 hour game that the main motivator changes throughout, but I don't want to spoil anything here. It does feel like every town you go to there's something to do or there's something going on. These towns are full of life. Going around talking to people is actually very interesting because they either make you laugh, tell you about themselves, or some might even give you a living toy, which is this game's version of summons or magic basically. It just gives these places a bit of personality. The small thing I do like about this game is when you're watching other people fight, it frames it like it's an in-game fight instead of doing a cutscene, which was probably cheaper for them to do and is neat in itself, so it's a win-win here. The main threat in this game is a giant purple dildo that shoots lasers out of its one eye. Very good design, thank you for letting me see that as a child. I do just want to quickly touch on the music in this game because I frequently use some of the music in my videos, and that's simply just because I think the music is amazing. And it makes me really happy when people comment knowing where it's from. It's only happened a couple times, but it does feel great seeing other people who know about this game. There is so much that I want to talk about here, and I keep going back and forth in my head about whether I'll do a video solely dedicated to this game. I think one day I will do that, but for now this will have to do. I give this game 4 upside down sheaths out of 5 giant purple dildos. Speed freaks. The only freak here I see is anyone who doesn't like this game. The different characters you get to pick from in this game is we've got Speed Racer, but why are you blue? This one has an exceptional haircut and a normal sized head.
You wanted something?
That creeped me out, why did she do that? Bart Simpson. Why are all the girls in this so damn scary? And then there's Biggs and Wedge, who are my favourite because they just keep beating the shit out of each other. There are also a few unlockable characters in this game, one of them is even a dog, which is cool, but it makes me wish there's a bigger variety of characters here. I'm sure it's going to come as no surprise at this point that this is a racing game, but the interesting thing about it is that your vehicle barely exists. I don't know why, but the characters are just floating in mid-air with 4 wheels surrounding them. What kind of witchcraft is this? Trust me, you do not want to try this out for yourself. Without a seat, that road is like sandpaper on your ass. Now it is a little bit hard to control at first, probably because there's not even a semblance of a chassis here, but once you get used to it, it is a super fun game. There is a bit of a challenge to it, which isn't a bad thing at all, and the tracks are, at least in my mind, incredibly memorable, well designed, and are just lovely to look at. It's easy to see this straight away because just look how amazing the first level looks. And the cool thing is, for most of these races, you spend the first 2 laps looking around wondering where the secret shortcut is that usually opens up on the 3rd lap. It plays similarly to the Mario Karts and the Crash Team Racings, but don't expect it to be as in-depth. I am glad to say this game is still a total blast though. I give it 4 speeds out of 5 freaks. Would recommend. Crisis Beat.
テロか。少なくとも退屈はしなくて済みそうだ。
What a fucked up thing to say. As you can see, this is a first-person game. Got ya. It's actually a beat 'em up and punch 'em game. There are 4 people you can pick from, and I usually picked Kenneth. Now Kenneth, it's not a bad name, but I don't see, this guy's not a Kenneth. There's no way. I could only ever pick him if my brother didn't pick him already. The reason why we picked him so much was because we used to think him fighting with his hands in his pockets was the coolest shit we had ever seen. Many injuries had occurred whilst trying to do the same thing since there was no "do not try this at home" warning. I think I actually should have sued. It's funny though because as we grow older, we realize that him having his hands in his pockets whilst fighting is actually incredibly dumb. It's inconvenient, it puts you at a disadvantage, it makes you a full risk, and it's just the coolest fucking shit I've ever seen. Not only does he fight with his hands in his pockets, but he also wears his panties on the outside. That's pretty cool. Of course, like most beat 'em the hell ups, you get weapons you can pick up, but be warned, these weapons have slipped out of the enemy's ass cracks and they're just not very exciting to use. Now about a third of the way through the game, when I saw this lovely model at the back of the room here, I remembered that every night in my dreams, I see you. I kill you! Remembering that you can kick people through objects just reawakened something in me. The game had just opened up in a whole new way and it's all I wanted to do, it never got old. The story here isn't anything special, it's your standard baddies want to end the world so we should probably stop them because that is a mean thing to do. Whilst the story is pretty bland, the dialogue does keep the cutscenes entertaining because it's so bad that it's good. I'm not sure if it's bad writing or just bad translations, but this is some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard or read, I guess, in a game. Unfortunately, the bosses aren't anything special either. The first one is creepy with his "I'm gonna get ya" kind of vibe, and I like some of the designs. We even got the kid from Speed Freaks all grown up here, but the fights more or less just have the same formula to them, even if they do have different moves and weapons. There's just not too much variety though. I definitely used to have more fun playing this game with my brothers, but all in all, it's a short hour and a half or maybe a 6-hour game. That is if you want to go through it with everyone and get a couple different levels and cutscenes. It's definitely worth it if you want to smash someone through the Titanic though. See, that's the difference between Jack and I. I smash people through the Titanic, he smashes people on the Titanic. I don't know why it says a different name there when the Titanic was the only ship to ever exist. It is a Titanic, just trust me. I give this game 3.5 butt crack weapons out of 5 outside panties. Would recommend it. Robo Pit 2. This game is exactly like the beloved Armored Core series. If Armored Core was total ass and still in its first stages of production. It's hard to pinpoint what I first noticed about replaying this game. I can't remember if it was an excruciating absence of music, or if it was this horrifying, nightmarish, empty husk staring back at me. I felt like I was staring into my own soul. Listen, the fact that you can create your own robot is pretty cool, some of the designs are pretty neat, and there's a fair amount of weapons to select from and unlock later on in the game. And I even think my robot would look fucking extreme if it wasn't for the blocky graphics. I am aware this is a PS1 game, and even though I do like when games are beautiful, graphics aren't everything, so whilst I can't forgive the game making me feel like I'm in an inescapable void with a silent soundtrack, I can forgive the way the game looks if the game is fun. So is the game fun? Surprisingly, it's actually really bad. It's so bad. I'm not expecting it to feel as smooth as my hairless nipples, but the amount of jank that we get here is just crazy. See, the controls are good and the attacking is passable, so the problem lies in the movements. I think the game would have benefited really nicely with a lock-on button, or at least a better camera so we can move diagonally instead of turning slowly every single time. So to progress, you click on these tiles that have a robot on and you fight that robot until you make your way to the middle tile. And I guess, it might be on me, I guess I shouldn't have clicked on a tile that had no data on. But what the fuck was that this early on in the game? I actually liked that you could fight this insanely hard robot as like your third fight in the game. Now if you enjoyed this game as a kid, I advise you to just keep this game as a memory. Robo Pit 2, more like Robo Shit 2. I give you 2 soulless husks out of 5 hairylessness nipples. What? I'll just keep that. Moho. Now I've got a question for you. Have you ever just been a robot with Big Ball as your feet? How'd that feel? Did you like it? And if you haven't ever been a robot with big balls as feet, this PS1 game gave us the opportunity to be a big ball with robot as feet. This is a game of science, bitch. It's all about doing mental mathematical calculations in your head. If I jump up here and hit the slope on the top and way back down, I'm gonna roll down there with maximum speed of 1 billion miles per hour so I can propel myself into the next planet I see. As a child, I learned about physics from this game. It taught me more than school ever could. In fact, I used this piece of media entertainment as homework. I did calculations on it, came up with new equations in my head. Einstein came up to me and said, "Hey man, that's some cool shit you got going on there." And most of all, I'm lying to you. I just had fun rolling around the arenas fighting other robots that have big balls as feet. I am genuinely impressed by the way the physics do work in this game, and one of my favorite things is just seeing this strange wobble effect when you hit the ground hard enough. How sick is that? There's like remnants of a story here. It's not quite gladiator levels, but basically I think you've been imprisoned and have to play these games to escape. I guess kinda like a gladiator. I don't know. I don't care. I just had fun going around fire big ball at his feet, you know what I'm saying. It's just an enjoyable little game if you have like a good half an hour at the end of a workday or something. I would recommend with like a 3 balls out of 5 feet. And finally, to top this list off, we have Metal Gear Solid. You should see the look on your face. Metal Gear Solid is a game that cannot be forgotten, because it's based on true events. Also, there's not even another game going for this list. We've done 5. You are silly today, aren't you? Anyway, I'm Ron Burgundy. Don't just have a great night. Have a good night.